Believe in Bigfoot, Dogman, any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hello and welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Mothman.
Yeah.
Now, we when we first talked about doing these cryptids and whatnot, Mothman was one of the first ones that came to mind. I don't know why, because he's really not that popular. But I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking about the movie that I'd seen a long time ago, and even though I don't remember much of it.
Well, we were just talking about that because I'm in the same boat as you. I think I've seen it definitely more than a few times.
Yeah, I should have rewatched it before we did this just so we could comment on it, but I didn't. Anyway, yeah, so how was your week, Jake?
It was good. It was really good. Besides it being negative 25 when I started heading over here this morning, not too bad.
Yeah, it was pretty cold when I got up this morning at 5:30. It was negative 31 degrees, and I thought, okay, it's another chilly day in Montana.
Yeah.
But I thought I was going to come back a dog man, and I failed both of us.
I was kind of bummed out, yeah. I'm not going to lie. You let us down.
I really did. I had some great Tex-Mex food. Dallas was Dallas. Went to a hockey game, did some fun stuff while I was there, but I never made it into the Dogman Triangle. I didn't see Chupacabra.
Yeah.
I didn't get attacked by any lizard-type creatures or anything, and didn't get to see the Honey Island monster.
It was a win-lose trip.
Yeah, it was a win-lose.
Did some fun stuff, good
Had some
food,
fun stuff, got to see Grace,
Yeah.
but I didn't come back a dog man, and that was very disappointing.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I said, the food was fantastic as usual.
Of course, yeah.
Flight was pretty good. Coming back into Bozeman, though, airport, man, the snow was unbelievable. It was 80, 82 degrees in Texas. And then I fly in here, and it's like negative 12 or something.
100-degree temperature change.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But, good trip. A lot of fun. Glad to be home and back at podcasting. So,
Still bummed out about the dog man.
It's
fine.
Bummed out. I had actually bought extra dog food for myself just in case I came back as a dog man, but I didn't. But anyway, let's get into the Mothman. The description of the Mothman is he's this flying cryptid that's often described as having the following type characteristics. And sometimes these vary, but most of the descriptions that people have given have been pretty spot on to the same thing.
Yep.
Which, again, little credibility towards that. I mean, because this has been over the course of many, many, many years, and the description seems to be the same.
Right.
So they say that he's about 6 to 7 feet tall with a wingspan of anywhere between 10 and 15 feet, which is a good size. Not bat squatch, where he's 40 foot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But still huge.
It's a huge wingspan.
Yeah.
And he's described as being black or a dark gray in color with red, large, glowing eyes.
Signature red eyes.
Signature red eyes of a cryptid. Now, this one, I'm not going to say that, he doesn't predate other cryptids with the red glowing eyes and stuff, but this one, they always say his eyes are look like bicycle reflectors.
Yeah.
That they're big. They often don't blink. They just kind of stare at you with that red glow.
Which that little detail makes it more horrifying.
Yeah. And a lot of people have said the exact same thing. And it's said that he has these hypnotic eyes that can actually cause people to feel distressed. I don't know that it's taking over their mindset, but they don't feel at ease with this thing.
Well, yeah, it's 7-foot tall creature with 15-foot wings and red eyes.
But if you remember when Bat Squatch descended on that guy,
right?
And even though he was terrified at the sight of it, he
didn't feel in danger.
He didn't feel like it was going to hurt him.
Yeah.
And there were other cryptids where we had the exact same thing, where
that is true. Yeah.
It was in front of them, but they didn't feel as though it was intending to hurt them.
I wonder if it has to do with the impending doom that
got to be
he is said to bring on.
It's got to be something of that nature that he's making people feel like there's something about to happen.
Yeah.
Mothman's often described as having these large moth-like, bat-like, or owl-like wings. In that respect, they're, of course, talking about the shape. I guess the one discrepancy that you could look at there is bat-like would be skin-like.
Right. Or leathery
or whatnot, whereas moth or owl-like would be more feathery, fluffy, like a moth's wings.
Right.
I wouldn't call those feathers, but
they're not leathery.
They're not leathery.
Right.
And so I'm not sure which one this guy's supposed to have. I'm going to say more owl-like, because I think that he's been described as that more than the others.
Right.
In fact, I can't even come up with an actual description where they say he had bat-like wings, but part of his name, Mothman, came from the old Batman cartoons.
Right.
There was the villain,
Yeah.
the Mothman thing. So I know he got a name from that TV series, and there's a possibility that that's where they're making the jump to. He has moth-like wings. I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know, but it's human-like in shape, sometimes described as bird-like in shape, but I think the majority of descriptions, he's got discernible legs and arms.
Right. Bird-like, I'm assuming, is only referring to his wings.
Yeah.
Which lends more credibility to it being owl-like over anything.
Right. I agree. He has a muscular body, and he's able to fly at high speeds, some people guesstimating upwards to 100 miles an hour. Now, when we go into some of the sightings, there's not a lot of detail on it, but he does like fly next to cars that are trying to get away.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine they're probably driving 60, 70 miles an hour. Doesn't say.
Right.
But if you're trying to get away from something, you're not putting along at 25.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's able to fly next to it and then zoom off. So I would imagine he's hitting speeds of 100 miles an hour.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even if he's only hitting 80 or 90, he's still moving at a good clip.
That's a fast flying creature, no doubt. Other abilities he's said to possibly possess is that he may or may not have sharp claws. I don't know where that one came from. I don't think of any description where they've said he had claws.
Yeah, I
it's
don't think
almost
so.
more like human-like hands or
Right.
arms. He may be able to camouflage himself. He may have enhanced night vision. He has the ability to negate light. He has an unnatural presence, and he has the ability to manifest wings. Well, of course he does, because he has wings.
Right.
I think what they mean by that is he has those kind of like bat squatch where they collapse down onto his back.
Exactly.
They're not always out in full force.
So you can't tell that they're wings until he lets them go.
Until they come out, which I always think of Jeepers Creepers.
Exactly.
And you know what? Jeepers Creepers would be like the perfect Mothman.
Yeah.
He looks like a man, whereas we're going to talk about that in one of our sightings, where
Right.
as they get closer and then, the wings unfold and he takes off, and that's where the startle factor comes in, is that he looks so much like a person, or at least the silhouette of a person, that when the wings come out, people are shocked and dismayed by the fact that all of a sudden this thing's taking flight. So I think that's what they mean by he manifests wings, is they're kind of hidden.
Coming out of nowhere.
And then come out of nowhere. So that's a basic description of the Mothman. And the location for him, his best known appearances, let's put it that way, are in Charleston and Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Which, until we started diving into it, I thought that was his only sighting.
I did too.
But it's not even close.
Not even close. So he's literally been seen all over the world at this point. And the more you dive into it, the more information you can come up with on him.
Yeah.
Which we can't get into.
Yeah, it's almost overwhelming amount.
It can be overwhelming, because like we would research one thing and then, oh, look, there's another one.
Exactly.
Here's another one. Here's another one. And he seems to be all over the place. So getting into, normally when we have an origin story, there's an actual like whole story behind it. And I think we're going to probably cover that more when we get into sightings.
Yeah.
But Mothman has been associated with supernatural phenomena and premonition. He's often sighted before a disaster strikes a particular area. And some people believe that he either serves as a warning for impending doom or disaster, while others believe that he, in fact, is the one that brings the doom to mankind.
Which I don't know how I feel on that aspect of it. It makes me laugh when I read it because initially when we were looking at it, we're like, why are they associating him with this bridge collapse? Just because they saw him?
Yeah.
But then when you get into all these other sightings, you realize, oh, that's why.
That's why.
Because everybody sees him, and then within a couple days,
something bad
happens. Now, again, I don't know if he's a warning symbol or if he's the...
So what's your take?
I think he's a warning. And the reason I think that is because of one of our sightings we'll get into later. The miners, specifically.
Yes, right.
Based on that story, if he was trying to bring doom, I don't think he would have scared them away.
Why would you?
Why would you? You want the doom. You want the
right
bad things to happen.
And so obviously at the end of the podcast, when we talk about the potential explanation for what it is, they didn't say this, but I'm going to throw it out there. Could the Mothman potentially be like an angel?
Very well could be.
If it's coming to warn mankind about an impending disaster, why would any evil entity warn you?
It wouldn't.
Whereas
it would hide in the shadows and laugh as it created mischief. Yeah,
exactly. Like an arsonist. They set a fire and then stand in the crowd and watch.
Yeah.
But an angel would.
Right.
Show itself, try and warn people that something bad is about to happen and then fly away. So it could be that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be in our explanation section, but we'll add it. We'll have to reiterate. Could be an angel.
Biblically speaking, it would make sense that it's horrifying. I mean, every time an angel presented itself to somebody in the Bible,
do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid. Do not fear.
Yeah.
Because they're horrifying for a person to see.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, that's because we're right all the time.
Well,
so, it goes without saying.
That's right. I don't know. Who would even question us?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into some of the sightings of the Mothman, because this is where you can jump to the conclusion that he is somebody that's warning versus bringing dismay upon mankind. The first known sighting actually occurs, let me put it this way. The first one that was reported occurred a few days after what we now know as being one of the initial sightings. So these are kind of out of order, but chronologically speaking, they're in order.
Right.
So November 12th of 1966, there's a group of 5 guys, and they're out actually preparing a grave site in a cemetery near the Clendenin, West Virginia area, when they see what they described as a brown human shape with wings lifting off from behind some trees, and then it flies over their head. They did not report it. They didn't say anything. I don't know if it was due to fear or they just didn't think anybody would believe them.
Or they did, but it was only to a couple buddies and not like their local news station, which is probably what I would do.
Right.
If I saw something, I would probably call you and say, hey, you're not going to believe this. I just saw this and that and tell you the story. But I wouldn't go down to the local news and be like, I have to report this. You guys got to get it out there to let people know.
Right.
I mean, from my point of view,
that's like the day you saw the chupacabra.
Yeah.
You didn't call the police and report it. You just told us
exactly
about it. So yeah, that would be the norm. But their particular sighting was eventually made public after what was known as the first media reported sighting. And that occurred on November 15th of 1966. Now, this is probably the main, what I would call the origin story. As we go through these things, you'll see that there are other sightings that predate this, but it was not known as the Mothman at the time. And this one basically is where it gets the name.
Right.
Mothman. And actually, I was in the 60s. I was a little Batman freak. I had a Batman outfit, and I had his utility belt, and, I had everything Batman. And so this is the right time frame, because by 1966, Batman was a hit.
Yeah.
So on the evening of November 15th, 1966, 2 young married couples from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette, are out for a drive in the Scarberry's car. They're passing the old World War II TNT factory, which was about 7 miles outside of Point Pleasant. And that's located in like a 2,500 acre McClintock wildlife station. As they're driving by, they notice these 2 red lights in the shadow by an old generator plant near the gates of the factory. So they stop the car, and then they notice that these lights aren't really lights. They're glowing red eyes. And they think it's just like a large animal. But they said, quote, "It's shaped like a man, but bigger, maybe 6.5 or 7 feet tall, with big wings folded against its back," end quote. And Roger Scarberry is the one that gave that quote. So, these guys, they're pretty much horrified at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they've seen something that they can't even fathom.
I
What is it?
Especially, it's bad enough to see it in the daytime, but when you're out at night and see something like that, it just adds to it.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere, basically, and you see something that horrifying. What do? Well, I'll tell you what they did.
Yeah.
They take off, which anybody would.
Exactly.
It's time to floor it.
Yeah.
And get the heck out of there. So they take off. They're now heading out towards like Route 62. And as they're heading down the exit ramp, they see this creature again. And it's standing on a ridge near the road, spreads its wings, and it takes off. And now it's following them. And I kind of do remember in the movie, The Mothman Prophecy,
Right.
that it's flying next to them and peering in the passenger window.
Yeah.
As they're speeding away. So that's kind of what I picture here. Now, this story says that it's following them, but it doesn't say, is it, behind the car? Is it next to the car looking in? But that's what I picture just because, the movie burned that into my head. But imagine that.
Oh,
you're speeding away.
Well, you're thinking that's the safe thing to do. So you're like, okay, we're in the car. We're going to take off.
Yeah.
We're good. Nope.
It's flying next to you or behind you, with those red eyes just glaring into your car.
And you got to imagine you're not abiding by the posted speed limit at that point. You're cooking it.
Yeah,
However fast that car is going to get going, you're going to make it happen.
Right. So they went to Mason County Courthouse and they told their story to Deputy Halstead. Halstead later tells people, hey, I've known these kids all their lives and they've never been in any kind of trouble, and they were really scared that night, so I took them seriously. He follows Roger Scarberry's car back to the TNT factory, but he finds no evidence of any strange creature.
And you're talking small town back in the day. So, yeah, this cop probably legit knew everybody in town.
Sure.
And did watch them grow up from whatever age, however long he's been a deputy, so...
Right. And, you can kind of tell the difference between somebody making up a story and somebody that's legitimately terrified.
Yeah.
And so him saying that they were really scared and then he follows them back out there, there's no doubt in my mind that it happened.
Right.
People don't usually do stupid things like that.
Yeah.
Right? Where you're going to just, hey, let's go contact our local deputy and tell him a lie. Everybody try and act scared. And then let's make him follow us, to a location where we saw. That's just not something that people do.
And everybody plays the part perfectly.
Yeah.
You'd have your dumb buddy giggling in the background, or somebody would blow your cover, right?
Right.
But no.
No, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
This happened.
Exactly.
They saw what they saw. They were terrified. They report it to a deputy, and he buys into it. So they go back out, and he can't find anything, though, which is not necessarily abnormal.
Right. I mean, it flew next to him and then it flew off.
Yeah, it's
Why would it be there?
Not going to leave any footprints or anything either if it's flying.
Right.
So on that very same evening, at about 10:30 or so at night, a guy by the name of Newell Partridge, he's a local building contractor, and he lives in Salem, which is about 90 miles outside of Point Pleasant. He's watching his TV when his screen suddenly goes dark. And he said that there was a weird pattern that had filled the screen, and then he heard a lot of whining sounds coming from outside that raised in pitch before drawing silent. And he says, quote, "It sounded like a generator winding up." Now, the whole point of like the screen going dark is kind of like the Bat Squatch story.
With the car shutting down.
Yeah,
Exactly.
where it's almost like an EMP going off, where there's things that use electronics, radio waves, etc., that this thing might have the ability to interfere with those, either shutting them down or causing, static. Or
Maybe its presence alone does it, and it's not even intentionally doing it.
Right.
It's a supernatural type thing. Who knows?
Right. And I'm assuming, back in this time, they didn't have coaxial cable running to their house. It was
Right.
all AM, VHF modulation. So it's coming through the airwaves.
Right.
So if this thing's out by his house, it could, like you said, unintentionally be causing interference of the radio waves. So his TV starts acting up. And then the next thing he knows, his little dog, Bandit, he begins to howl out on the front porch. So Newell gets up to investigate. He walks outside and he notices that his dog is focused on the hay barn, which is like 150 yards from the house. So he turns on his flashlight and he shines the beam in the direction of the barn. And as soon as he does so, he sees that the light has now illuminated these two red circles out by the barn that look like eyes. Well, that's horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like my neighbor.
Yep.
When he lit up his backyard and saw those two eyes and told me about it, in the Bigfoot episode that we did. It's just terrifying when you see that.
Yeah.
When you don't know what it is.
Right.
It's one thing if, oh, look, there's deer out there or there's a bobcat or whatever it is, but two big, bright red eyes staring at you from your barn, it's got to be relatively horrifying.
Well, and then they're back to the couple. There's something about the safety of being in the vehicle, even if it's not 100% you're safe. You feel safe, right? Because you're in the car. You're like, oh, I'm okay. It's the same with when you're driving through Yellowstone. You got the bison that's 2 feet off your car. It could shred your window, and start just mauling you. But you feel safe, right? Because you're in the car.
Yeah, it's a false sense of security.
But now you're out on foot in the dark, in your backyard. And you got it right there. So, it's a whole other level of terrifying.
Well, it frightens him so much, he says, to heck with that. And he runs back into his house.
Don't blame him, yeah.
But as he's heading back to his house, he notices that his dog is running across the yard towards those glowing eyes.
Yeah.
And so he's yelling for it, hey, Bandit, stop, come back. And, of course, the dog pays no attention to him because it's focused on this thing, that's violating his territory.
Yeah.
So he's jamming out there to see what it is. So Newell runs back into his house to get his gun, but he's too frightened to go back outside. So he's worried about his dog, obviously, but he doesn't want to put himself in danger and go out to see what it is, even though he has a firearm. Now, I would have gone.
I'm investigating.
I'm going to go
I'll be scared, but I'm investigating.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, too, you turn around, you ran, you're going back out. It could be anywhere. It might not be by the barn.
Right.
It could be right off the porch, but I'm still going out, especially if the dog's out there.
Yeah.
Even if I hate the dog.
I know. Well, and, the whole thing is there's a false sense of security with a firearm, too.
Same thing as the car, yep.
So I feel pretty snappy, that, hey, I've got my 45 with me. I'll take this thing down. But if it's a creature that you can't kill, of course, you don't know that going out there. But even if it was, let's just say it's a big grizzly.
Yeah.
Most firearms aren't going to do you that much justice when it comes to taking down a big animal like a bear.
Right.
Unless you get a perfect shot off or something, you usually just piss them off when you hit them. But he's too afraid is the bottom line. So he's not going to go out there. So he goes to bed that night. Next morning, he wakes up and he's calling for Bandit. Dog's nowhere to be found. 2 days later, there's still no sign of the dog when he reads about the Mothman sightings in Point Pleasant. And he notices there's this one statement in particular that Roger Scarberry had told the media that he saw the body of a large dog laying on the side of the road just moments before the Mothman appeared to them. And so, poor Newell thought, oh, that was Bandit.
Right.
So the possibility, I suppose, exists that the Mothman killed his dog, flew away with it, took it over toward that TNT factory. There's no follow-up story on that if it turned out that it was or was not Bandit, or if the dog was related to Mothman in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But for the purposes of this story, it appears that little Bandit ran out to his demise. Mothman killed it, flew off with him, and dropped him on the roadside over by, where he's staying at the dynamite factory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a horrible story, but supposedly that's what happened.
You never know. I mean, dog runs out, attacks it. Maybe it doesn't have the intention of killing anything, but it's also at the same time not going to let itself be attacked.
Protecting itself, sure.
Yeah.
You never know. So the next night, November 16, the local townspeople arm themselves.
Of course. Love it.
Yeah, I love these stories.
Me too.
They take it so seriously that they will literally gather arms, get together, have a game plan, and they're going to go out and hunt.
That's what
this
you should
cryptid.
do as a community.
I totally agree.
You brush it off, and then your dogs are getting picked off left and right.
Right. So they go out and they search the area around the old TNT plant for signs of the Mothman. And because of that, the old TNT plant now becomes known as the lair of the Mothman. And this strange creature couldn't have picked a better place to hide, because the area is made up of several hundred acres of woods with these large concrete domes where they stored all the explosives during the war. And there's also a network of tunnels that are all branched out across the area, and they make it possible for this guy to go like subterranean. So he can move from one place to the other without ever being spotted.
It's the perfect stomping ground.
It's the perfect place for him. There's a wildlife station. It's heavily forested with animals and dense woods and ponds and ridges and hills and whatnot. And nobody knows what the Mothman eats.
If he eats at all.
If he eats at all. But the area was dense with water, wildlife, and foliage. And so it wouldn't matter if he's herbivore, carnivore, if it drinks or doesn't drink. All of the available necessities are right there for him. Plus, he's got underground tunnels to move through. Of course, I mean, he would fly wherever he wants to go as well.
Right.
But if he wanted to stay undetected, it's the perfect area
Just go
for
underground
him.
for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on in the story here, and I'm not sure when this part actually occurred, but I know it's during the same time frame, and I know it's in 1966. I just don't know what month, but I'm assuming it's after the townspeople had gathered, after the media had put out these strange sightings of this Mothman, and after the first incident and the second incident that was reported. I'm assuming this comes after those. Mr. and Mrs. Raymond Wamsley and Mrs. Marcella Bennett with her little baby daughter, Tina, they're in their car on the way to visit some friends, the Thomases. And they lived in a bungalow that was out by those concrete domes where all the explosives and stuff had been stored. So they're headed back to their car when this figure appears behind the parked vehicle. Mrs. Bennett said it seemed like it had been lying down, but it's slowly rising up from the ground. It's large, it's gray, and it has these glowing red eyes. And Mrs. Bennett reportedly was so terrified that she had actually dropped her little girl on the ground, but quickly got her thoughts together, picks up her child, and runs back into the house.
Poor kid.
Yeah. So it's the little children that suffer. Wamsley ends up calling the police, and they're terrified because they actually hear this creature walking onto the porch, and it starts peering into the windows. So if you can imagine this big winged 7-foot tall creature with those big red eyes looking in the windows, and they can hear it walking around on their porch, that's frightening.
Yeah.
So the police end up arriving, probably God knows how long later, right? But by the time they get to the house, the creature's gone.
Especially if you're talking rural, it's probably 20, 30 minutes away minimum, even if they got nothing going on.
Exactly.
I couldn't imagine, though, that, again, back to the false sense of security, you're like, oh, we finally made it inside our house. We're good. But then you hear it and see it lurking around outside the house.
Yeah.
It's got to be terrifying.
I can't even imagine what you'd go through in that.
It reminds me of the little gnome
Oh,
Remember?
yeah. Where he's-
Walking around.
yeah, they see the top of his hat.
And that's scary. That's scary too.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the 7-foot tall winged creature is a little bit more terrifying.
And that's the funny part is you would think, this little gnome, you can just go out and kick it in the face or something.
Right. That's what I've always thought about, like the Chucky movies.
Yeah.
I always hated when people got killed by that thing. I'm like, just kick it in the face. It's a doll.
But then when you get into the lore,
Yeah.
it's 7 times more powerful than a human.
Right.
You try and kick it in the face, it grabs you and twists your ankle and
Rips your foot right off.
causes, compound fractures all the way up through your leg. So yeah, it's taking on any cryptid would not be advisable.
Yeah.
And especially if it's 7 feet tall with a 15-foot wingspan and red glowing eyes and it's standing on your porch.
Knowing that, I would still probably try to kick the gnome.
Yeah.
You
have to.
You have to. At least say you did. You might not have a foot after that. But still, you got to give it a try.
I'm not letting a little 2-foot tall creature take me. And if it did, then
I could at least say
so
I tried to fight. Hey, I tried to kick that thing. It ripped my foot off.
Yeah. So this pretty much covers the origin story of the Mothman and how it all started, even though I don't believe that's where it started.
No.
We're going to cover a couple others, but it didn't have the name Mothman. I don't know how much media attention it got on the prior incidents from years before this incident. Right. But this is the most famous incident, so we'll call that the origin story. Yeah. If you want to go into a few other incidents that occurred just like right after this, still in the West Virginia area.
Yeah, so on November 24th, 4 people saw the Mothman flying over that TNT area. And on the morning of November 25th, a guy by the name of Thomas Urey, who was driving along Route 62, which is just north of that TNT area, said he saw the creature it was standing out in a field by the road and then does its famous spreading its wings and took off. Also following his car as he sped into Point Pleasant to report the sighting of the sheriff.
So yet another one runs to the police to report it.
Yep. And again, with the flying next to the car, I don't really understand what that's all about.
I don't either. I don't get it.
Unless it's trying to make sure it scares it off from, maybe it just doesn't want it in its area.
Yeah.
I don't know. Territorial type thing. Same with the bat squatch too, though.
Yeah.
Flying alongside cars.
And again, all I can picture is Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
That thing standing out there like a scarecrow, out come the wings, and then it flies towards you. Yeah. I'd be speeding away too. But imagine working for the sheriff's department there.
And getting all these reports.
And getting all these reports of this creature coming in. How
from people you see all the time
that?
And you believe to be credible people.
Yeah. But what do? How do you even begin to investigate something like that? Sit in your car and
hope
do
to
a
see it.
Stakeout, late at night out in a field somewhere by yourself. I don't know. I don't think I'd do it.
Keeping the windows rolled up.
Yeah. I don't know that I would even want to go do that. When you're messing with something that's of the unknown, your firearm probably isn't going to work against it. And you're just putting yourself in a position of danger.
If I had a partner, I would feel significantly better.
Yeah.
Even though
you're both going to die together.
Exactly. I was going to say, subconsciously, you're both dead.
Yeah.
But there's that, again, back to the false sense of security.
Yeah.
Just having somebody sitting in the car with you.
Definitely.
You feel a little bit better. One, in my mind, you feel better about if you do see it, now you got somebody with you instead of just being like,
Yep, I saw it, and now they're going to chalk me up as a nut.
Right, exactly. You got that someone to solidify your stuff for you. But
crazy.
So the next day, on November 26th, a lady by the name of Mrs. Ruth Foster of Charleston, West Virginia, sees the Mothman standing out on her front lawn. She goes to get her brother-in-law to take a look, but by the time he got there, it was gone. On the morning of November 27th, it pursued a young woman near Mason, West Virginia, and was reported again in St. Albans the same night by 2 children. The Mothman was seen again January 11th, 1967, and several times during 1967. So the kid, you could chalk the kids up to being hearing the stories, freaking out because they saw something at night and they're thinking it's the Mothman, sure. But all these adults who are seeing it,
right,
plain as day.
And just the proximity.
Right.
The time frames. It's all...
Everybody can't be crazy.
Everybody can't be crazy. The whole town would lose their minds.
Right.
Right? I mean, the whole town should be committed to an insane asylum.
Yeah.
If you didn't believe them.
Right.
But the fact is that just over the course of, what are we talking here? Like 5 days
Yeah.
total or something from the onset? No, we're talking about 10, 11 days.
10, 11 days. Yep.
Right? In 10 or 11 days, you've got at least 8 people here. Well over that.
Yeah. Because some of those were couples.
Yeah, you got 4 of them and another one here and the 2 kids and the other 2 people and then the 2 couples.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people have seen this thing in a matter of 10 days.
And are reporting it to local law enforcement.
Reporting it to local law
because they're freaked out.
Yeah.
It's got to be real.
It has to be real. They're seeing something.
And then you got the deputy who's saying, no, I know these people. They're not nut jobs. They're seeing something, and it all matches this description.
Yeah. So it's clearly out there.
It's clearly out there. There's no doubt. So moving on, December 5th.
Now, this next one you're going to talk about, this,
Yeah.
to me, this is the most famous one.
Same. Yep. This is what all I knew about the Mothman before diving into it.
Right. And then when you find out, oh, well, that wasn't the original sighting and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But this is the one that I think everybody knows. Like,
Right.
as soon as you talk about the Mothman prophecy or the legend of the Mothman, people are like, wasn't there like a bridge or something?
Yep.
And here it is.
And here it is.
Here's the story.
Yep. December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed amid heavy rush hour traffic, resulting in the deaths of 46 people, 2 of whom were never found.
Yeah. And, I read that there were 32 vehicles on that bridge when it went down. So all 32 of those cars went down into the water.
Yep.
With 46 people throughout those vehicles. So that was a tragic event.
It's a catastrophe. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. So the Silver Bridge was an I-bar chain suspension bridge that was built in 1928, which carried U.S. Route 35 over the Ohio River, connecting Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and Gallipolis, Ohio. It was officially named the Point Pleasant Bridge. It was popularly known as the Silver Bridge for the color of its aluminum paint. And an investigation leading into the wreckage soon pointed to the failure of a single I-bar and one of the suspension chains as the primary cause. The collapse led to a significant change in the way the bridges in the U.S. are inspected and maintained. So pretty significant. 46 lives lost. That's huge.
46 people.
But it also changed how bridges are made, that it was so catastrophic.
Right.
Or inspected, I should say.
I-bar chains, that's basically all it is a solid rod that has like a eyelet on both ends. And one of them on this huge spanning bridge, I forget the length of it, but I know it was over 1,400 and something feet, One of those snapped and the whole thing
Gone.
gave way. So it was pretty incredible. But where this thing comes into play is Mothman was seen flying around that bridge. Depending upon what you read, if you do a search on it, it'll say everything from there were no sightings of the Mothman leading up to the bridge collapse to people saw it days before the collapse. So depending on what you believe, what you want to believe, it could have been there. It might not have been there.
Right.
And the bridge, they obviously, due to investigation, it's not like this thing caused it. It was clearly a faulty I-bar.
Right.
That caused the whole thing to go down, that's frightening to think that one.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about it.
All of those I-bars that go across, but when one went,
it's game over.
It was game over. The whole structure went down. It's a frightening concept. And of course, they don't even do that anymore. The architecture today, most of the bridges stand up to significant things. We had the one bridge collapse recently when the barge hit it, but that's a huge barge just smashing into a pylon that's a support.
Right.
But most bridges that are built today can withstand winds and things of that nature. And so this is one of the things that occurred in history that changed how we do a bridge structure. But for the purposes of our show here, I believe that witness accounts are accurate. I think that Mothman was seen flying near or around the bridge, if not days, at least, weeks before the collapse. And it's kind of like we were talking about before we went on air.
Right.
If you just took that one incident, you'd say, No, total coincidence.
Exactly.
When you start looking at all the other cases of disasters, incidents that have occurred globally, and Mothman has been at those places as well, then it starts looking more like maybe this actually did happen, right? That
Exactly.
Mothman was there as either a warning or as the destroyer of mankind.
Yeah.
I don't know what its position was, but I believe that the witnesses that saw it are credible, and it was there in the days leading up to the collapse of this bridge.
Oh, I agree.
Which is where that whole legend kind of goes, right? So when you read about Mothman and stuff, they'll always bring you back to this bridge collapse. But there's much more.
I still don't understand how they thought it back then, though, that he was, that he prophesized that or was the impending doom, however you want to say it. Because not to beat a dead horse, because I know you just said it, but when we were looking at it, we're like, what connection? There's no connection here. That doesn't matter at all that he was there and that this happened. But we have the ability to get on the internet and look at all these other things, whereas back then they didn't.
50 years later, we can start looking at it and putting things, and it kind of culminates this concept that, hey, everywhere there was something really bad happen, this thing was seen.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't have known that in 1967.
Right. But some people thought that.
Yeah.
Which I don't get. Good on them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they were smarter.
Yeah, I guess.
They understood this whole cryptid thing back then. So other areas going outside of West Virginia and getting more into a global aspect of Mothman. We have in early January of 1926. So now you're 40 years prior to the 1967 bridge collapse. There is this figure that they say resembled Mothman, and the Chinese people referred to this guy as the man dragon, which I don't know how you say that in Chinese, so I won't even try it.
Right.
But he was the man dragon, and he was seen by several people in this particular region that I can't pronounce either. It's like Zhangte Dam in China. And on January 19th, that dam collapsed, and over 15,000 people were killed in the impending floods. So somebody saw Mothman, dam collapses, and now you're talking, this is like genocidal
that's
type death. It's ridiculous in the amount of people. 46 people lost their lives on the bridge, but 15,000 people killed in China in 26 after a Mothman sighting.
Which is
insane.
It's crazy. Yeah, there's no other word for it.
No.
And then in September 10th of 1978 in Freiburg, Germany, a mine collapsed, killing several miners. Now, this is where the story's a little weird because some articles say that people were killed in the mine, and then others don't mention anything of people dying in it.
Right. There's a major discrepancy there. I've read one where it says there were no deaths associated with that mine collapse.
Yep.
But several articles said, no, there were multiple people killed in that. So kind of hard to figure that one out.
And then another little small discrepancy. A lot of the articles say that more than 20 miners that were scheduled to work that day refused to work. And I'll get into that. But a couple articles gave a specific number of 36 miners who ended up seeing this and refused to work. So take what you will there. But most of the articles said more than 20 miners were scheduled to work. They refused to work because they were scared after seeing a large, dark-shaped figure with huge wings standing in front of the mine. As they approach it, it stretches its wings out and flew away. They called it the Freiburg Shrieker. One of the miners said the creature made a loud scream that sounded like 50 people yelling at once, which would make sense, calling it the Shrieker.
And so as that story goes on, these people refuse to go into the mine. They all end up going home.
Right.
But the mine
collapses.
And so that's kind of going back into how we started this podcast. Was it good? Was it bad? Is it angelic or demonic? Well, if it scared these workers away from a mine collapse, that would lend towards it being good. didn't want these guys to go into the mine, so it scared them away from it versus allowing them to go in for their demise.
Because one of the articles I said that they described it as they thought it was a large man wearing a trench coat, and they just thought it was weird that he was standing there. And it wasn't until they got closer that those wings came out and it screamed at him.
It's Jeepers Creepers.
It's Jeepers Creepers. He's got the trench coat and everything.
Exactly.
But you're right when you say that. Like, why wouldn't it wait in a tree?
Yeah.
Because we're talking crack of dawn here. So,
Right.
Probably low lighting. It could easily hide. Why stand right in front of the mine where these guys are going to go? And then why scare them off?
Yeah, ward them all off, and then the mine collapses.
Yeah.
So you can't, you can look this up all day long and not ever really determine how many people were killed in that mine.
Right.
Which kind of makes me think that there were no deaths, because that would be all over the internet. I would think that you could look that up. Even though it was 1978, they would still put in there that there was a tragedy in Freiburg, Germany, where 40 people lost their lives in a mine or something.
Even if it was 5.
And you can't see that anywhere. So I'm thinking this thing turned them away before the mine collapsed.
Right.
And there probably were no deaths.
That's kind of my thought as well.
But other articles say several people
exactly,
lost their lives. So take it with a grain of salt. Another incident, April 1986. Several workers in the control room of the Chernobyl power plant, they actually saw a creature matching the description of Mothman just 3 days before and the day of the reactor meltdown. Now, you remember that one. That was
that's
biggie,
huge, yeah.
right? Historically speaking, you weren't born yet.
Right, yeah.
I was already getting old. But they called the creature the Blackbird of Chernobyl, and they described it as being this large winged black creature with no discernible head. But again, it had these big red eyes.
Mothman.
It's Mothman.
Yep.
The workers said that they had recurring nightmares of the creature, and some even reported receiving threatening phone calls, but they gave no details as to the threat that they received or who the caller was.
Right.
So we can't get any information on that specific end of it. But if workers at the plant saw this thing flying around the plant,
multiple workers,
see it flying around the plant, and then all of a sudden they have that massive meltdown, which is one of the worst nuclear incidents in our history.
I mean, that area is still radioactive, and it's still like the animals over there are affected by it. They're like all mutated and messed up. Yeah, they used to
joke about the Kiev chicken and stuff like that. The 3-headed chickens and fish that could crawl out and become lizard men.
Exactly. There it is.
That's what happened.
That's where it's coming from.
Migrated over into the Carolinas.
They just swam across,
But
the other thing, too, with the workers seeing it is it's not like one guy saw it, he ran over and told someone else, and then to tease the guy, they're like, oh, yeah, Mike, we saw it, too. No, this is all these guys sitting in the control room seeing it at the same time.
Right.
So, I mean,
it had to have happened.
It had to have happened, exactly.
Well, just like the Freiburg, Germany case, just like the China case,
right?
Just like the bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, you start connecting the dots. This thing is showing up before every major disaster hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable.
And then we got, in February of 2011, a guy by the name of Marcus Pools said he and a friend and another couple that was with them saw the Mothman flying circles around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Okuma, Japan. And this was just days before the tsunami caused that nuclear incident at their facility. Another unidentified man and his friend reported that they were on a hike near the power plant when they saw the creature, what they described as having about a 15-foot wingspan that was flying circles around the power plant. They described it as having being human in shape with discernible legs and arms and what seemed to be an oversized head. And this occurred literally the day before the tsunami hit.
Yeah, that's insane. And same thing as the Chernobyl, right?
Same thing.
Flying around in circles over the power plant.
And the guys on the hike stated that they saw it land on one of the buildings, and they said its head was moving around like it was scanning the horizon, and it was there for several minutes before it popped off and flew away out of sight.
Yeah, and then out of the blue the following day, here comes the tsunami.
Yep, which messes with the power supply or something in the nuclear reactor, which
it was like the
cause it-
cooling portion of the reactor
Exactly.
or something. And so they end up with and I don't think that was a full meltdown.
No, but it
by
was
any
pretty
means.
catastrophic still.
And a big enough incident that, again, you've got to say, is it coincidental that the Mothman was seen flying around this thing before the tragedy struck?
Right.
I just don't believe it's not. It can't be coincidental that many times.
Over that many years.
Yeah, just
No.
That's insane. Salem, West Virginia. Don't know the date, don't know the time. Tried to research this. People have thrown it out there. There's no validity to this whatsoever.
Exactly.
There should be a police report or something. Now, as it comes to like sex trafficking and disappearance of kids and all that stuff, you can look that up. And does Salem, West Virginia have those incidents? Of course they do. Every city in the world
Right.
has incidents of sex trafficking, child kidnappings, kids going missing. I mean, it's a tragedy that is a global thing.
Right.
But as it relates to Mothman, there's no evidence to suggest that this particular thing is accurate. But it does say that Mothman was seen in the areas of Salem, West Virginia before a string of child disappearances occurred. I can't find any dates, any times,
Right.
or any further
Nothing.
info on that. We're throwing it out there as a potential that it may or may not have occurred, but with no detail and no fact behind it.
No idea.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put any stock in this one. And then in 2017, there were 55 sightings in the Chicago area and more sightings since 2017. But again, no details given.
Nope. Just people saying they saw it.
But we're talking about hundreds of sightings,
Yeah.
correct? Not
Yeah.
just 55. They
Oh, yeah,
went on to
hundreds.
say, and we don't know what that's associated to.
Chicago's kind of a catastrophe in general. So maybe just being around Chicago, who knows?
With like 11 homicides every single weekend and some of the things that occur there. Does he just fly around?
Yeah. Is
on
he
a
just hanging out? Yeah.
daily basis, just trying to warn people don't
Got to make
live
my
there?
daily swoop over Chicago
Yeah,
just so people
right.
know.
But there is no specific incident relative to Chicago that we can find that relates to Mothman,
Right.
other than multiple sightings of it.
I couldn't even really find specifics on names, times, dates, anything like that. Just people saw it.
Right. Which I don't even
Could be another cryptid.
could be anything.
Yeah.
A bat squatch could be flying over.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Thunderbird or something.
But we threw it out there because if you were to look up sightings, he's definitely going to be one that is seen routinely in the Chicago area.
Yep.
Present day.
Yeah.
And that's the key is, when we're talking about some of these sightings back in the 60s, and a lot of people would say, yeah, okay, so he was sighted in the 60s. Has he been around lately? Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
In Chicago, according to quite a few people. And maybe there's still something bad going to happen in Chicago.
You never know.
Never know. So moving on, that's all the sightings that we're going to cover for today because we're running out of time. There are more sightings.
A lot more.
There's more catastrophes.
Yep.
And as it relates to Mothman, you got to wonder, how is it that he is seen prior to a disaster?
And again, with other cryptids, how many other disasters have happened that he was seen at and nobody reported?
Right.
Because fear of whatever.
Yeah.
Ridicule.
Could be that, or maybe he wasn't even seen. Maybe he flew around and nobody cared because they're all staring at their phones.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We were walking down the street the other day. There's this little girl on her phone going to bang right into us. Never looked up once. And I thought, so if Mothman was flying around, she wouldn't see
Got a
it.
case of 45-degree syndrome.
Yeah.
Just hunched over.
It's insane
Yeah.
is what it is. Technology's killing us.
Yeah.
The cryptids aren't. They're trying to warn us.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your eye out.
Keep your eye out.
There's
Get
probably
him off
walking-
that phone.
You're probably driving right next to a Mothman, but you can't see him because you're texting and
'cause
driving.
You're texting, right. Possible explanations of the Mothman. Again, like I said at the very beginning, I'm going to throw out there, could be angelic, right?
Could be. Yep.
Don't know. The explanations that you'll find for this during any form of research is that it is an omen of horrific events to come. It could be demonic, which I'm never going to rule out a demon when it comes to a cryptid,
Right.
but I don't think this follows what I would imagine a demon would be doing. Demons don't warn you of impending doom. They lure you into
Unless we're
impending doom.
misjudging it and it is bringing the doom.
It could be, yeah. So if it is bringing the doom, I'll go with demonic.
Exactly.
If it's
That's
not,
easy, yeah.
Then I don't think a demon's going to warn us of bad things to
The
come.
minor one is the ones with the minors is the one that's hardest for me to think that it's bringing the catastrophe.
Right.
I don't think it would scare those guys away.
Don't step in front of the mine, hide, and watch them go in and giggle, at the fact that they're about to die.
Right.
Another explanation is that it is an escaped government experiment. Okay. Yeah, Dog Man was the same, right?
Yep,
A lot of people will always jump to the fact that our government is creating these things and hiding them.
I don't put anything past our government, so
I wouldn't either. It could be a barn owl or a snowy owl or a sandhill crane.
Those
or
irritate me.
Something of that nature.
Yeah, all three of those irritate me.
So I have a ton of barn owls on my property.
I love them. They're gorgeous.
They're a beautiful animal. I don't think I would ever misidentify it as being a 7-foot tall creature with a 15-foot wingspan.
That has discernible arms and legs of a human.
And big red glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Because all of the barn owls I've seen are nowhere near that big. It's a big bird.
Yep.
Good sized wingspan.
Oh, yeah.
They take flight. They scare the heck out of you. And if you shone a light on them, they could potentially have red eyes. They don't have red glowing eyes.
No,
but
that look like brake lights. No.
But you could get retinal flash, I suppose, off of an owl. There was a explanation about the snowy owl. I think somebody had taken a photograph of a snowy owl and made it look similar to what Mothman could look like while it was in flight or something. But again, your perspective's skewed. It's like a fisherman that goes out, catches a crappie or something, holds it 4 feet out in front of him,
Closest to the camera,
Closest to the camera angles where it looks like it's a 15-pound crappie. But then you look at his thumb, and his thumb is the size of his head. You know, it's perspective. It's lens perspective. And so I think when people were trying to rule out that Mothman was a cryptid, look, it's just a snowy owl because that's what it would look like in flight.
No.
You're taking it out of proportion. A snowy owl is not 7 feet with legs and arms and big wings.
Yeah.
So when people try and pass these things off as an explanation, kind of like the otters, I just recently, and I was going to send it to you, somebody took a picture of an otter in the water. I think there were probably 2 of them, or this was a rather large otter. It was probably 4 or 5 feet long, which some of those, sea otters and stuff are pretty good size, right?
Oh, yeah.
They took a picture of it where its head was out of the water and part of its back was out of the water. And they said, see, there's your Loch Ness Monster. I think I saw it on Reddit. There's your Loch Ness Monster. There is the explanation. So all you people stop. And I'm like, it doesn't look anything like the pictures of any of the sea creatures that they've ever posted.
Not only does it not look like it, but the size.
It looks like an otter.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, people have to stop doing this. And that's what this person did with a snowy owl. They took a picture of it, probably blew it up or whatever, tried to make it look bigger than it was, et cetera, and said, there's the Mothman. That's the explanation. That's exactly what it is. It's a snowy owl. No, it's not.
She just can't cope.
No, they can't.
Somebody who can't cope with what it really is.
That's correct. So unlike a lot of cryptids that are localized, and so when they say localized, I think it means things like the lizard man, who was in Scape or Swamp.
Or the Rougarou.
Honey Island.
Yeah.
Swamp monster. Specific to an area. This guy's not specific to an area.
Oh, not at all.
And even though they said, his lair is the TNT factory, that's where he was seen originally. But he's also seen in Japan and Germany and, all over the place. So it would make it hard to do any field research, is the bottom line. And if he was localized to just the TNT thing, then they should have put people out there, right, with cameras and sit and wait on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that doesn't mean that you would ever catch it. It's kind of like in our Bigfoot episode when I talked about putting out a trail cam. Well, first off, if it's not just an animal, I think just an animal would be caught.
Right.
If it's crossing your, but what if it's not just an animal? What if it does have the ability to discern its surroundings, and maybe it can see infrared? Maybe it's like, oh, there's a camera over there, I'm walking that way.
Yeah.
Or it's translucent, or it's alien, or it's third world something, it's
Something is supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so Mothman could be the same. So when people say, well, why didn't they just put a crew out there and wait for it? Well, it's because he flies all over the earth where there's potential impending doom. And I don't think he's local to any one specific area. So how do you catch it? How do you investigate something like that? Well, getting into the popularity phase, there's a guy by the name of John Keel. And he wrote the book Mothman Prophecies in 1975. And the book was about his investigation into Mothman sightings, but he also kind of delved into UFOs and other various supernatural phenomena. I've never read the book.
I need to read it.
I probably should get it, right? He spent many years trying to investigate what is the Mothman, and then he ends up writing his findings and all that kind of stuff based on what he learned about it. Now, not having read it, I can't comment on it or say I agree or disagree with him, but I don't believe he ever actually found it.
Right.
I don't know that, but you would think there would be a lot more than just the book.
Yeah.
That he wrote it, right? But
maybe a little something
be
else.
A little more famous than that. But in 2002, the movie The Mothman Prophecies with Richard Gere, that was released, and that movie was loosely based on Keel's book. Again, I don't remember the movie well enough. I saw it probably back in 2002.
Yeah.
When it first came out. I remember it flying next to the car. I remember some of the movie, but I don't remember everything about the movie. So again, I can't really comment or even be able to say how closely it resembles the book. I don't know if the book was written from a perspective of a story or of more a documentary type thing. So I can't really comment. But definitely if you're interested in the Mothman, I would highly recommend that you grab that book.
Yeah, check it out.
This guy spent a lot of time looking into it.
Yeah.
Other movies, 2011, Eyes of the Mothman was a documentary that came out. These guys that are on YouTube and stuff, the Small Town Monsters.
I love those guys. They got a great.
They have a great show.
Yeah.
And if anybody's not seen it, you got to watch it.
Yeah.
They have some good stuff.
Yeah. Super well made.
Yeah. They did 2 documentaries on Mothman, one in 2017 called The Mothman of Point Pleasant, and then they did a sequel to that in 2020 called The Mothman Legacy. Both documentaries on Mothman.
Yeah.
Should have watched those. They might have more information that we could have thrown out there, but
probably,
we're already hitting the limit of our time, so we probably didn't need any more. But so there's been a few movies. Unsolved Mysteries in 2002, Monster Quest in 2010, another little documentary called Search for Mothman in 2022, and that actually featured John Keel was on it. I think they interviewed him. So those are some things that you can look up if you're interested in the story. And then in West Virginia, the Mothman Festival is held annually every third weekend in September, and it features guest speakers and cosplay and music, with local bands and whatnot. They've got vendors and food, another thing that, we need to go.
Exactly. Yep.
See, admission's free, but some of the little events and stuff may have a fee associated with them. But if you're interested in a Mothman festival,
I mean, it's got to be good. They have a statue that sits permanently on their main street downtown.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
Yeah,
it's an awesome looking statue.
If you got a statue dedicated to your festival, it has to be good.
It has to be.
Right?
That's why the Lizard Man won too.
Yeah.
We've got to go back and do the Scape War Festival.
Yes.
Anyway, I think that's all we've got on Mothman. Make up your mind. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it real?
Yeah.
If you got any comments or questions on it, make sure you contact us and let us know. And if you've seen it, we definitely want to talk to you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So with that being said, Jake, you got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
So make sure you tune in 2 weeks as we cover the Beast of Bray Road,
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
which you already know is one of our favorites. It is another dog man,
Yeah.
but he is specific to a certain area. And there's been a lot of sightings of him and a lot of stories and books and movies and all kinds of things made on just the Beast of Bray Road. And
Because
of
it's a
course,
dog man, so why
it's
wouldn't
a
you?
dog man.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you love every second of that? Plus, I did my travels there as well that
Yeah.
I can relate. So we hope you join us in our next Dog Man episode.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.